Alright, so we have the engine harness installed, driver side tower plugged up. I am going to put a little bracket right there, which is one of these guys, as OEM as possible. Alternators hooked up. The injector harness is hooked up. IAT sensor is hooked up in the back right here. Hope you can see that. And you see how I left it loose, because sometimes IAT is on the front of the manifold, so you can just kind of loop it around. Either air control valve is hooked up. TPS is hooked up. Going around over here, we have the starter hooked up. My fan switch is over here, and the OBD0 is actually above the oil filter. Most importantly, ground is hooked up. You got my distributor wires right here. You got the coolant temp plugged, hooked up. The what is it? The engine coolant temp and temperature. I don't remember. But O2 sensors hooked up. Reverse light is hooked up. Important, guys, that you got your ground right here to the transmission hooked up, as well as the one to the valve cover. I've seen a lot of people, like B series guys, they put the ground on the valve cover itself. It's really not doing anything there, because the valve cover is still separated by the gaskets, so it's not really making a full contact. So when you put this ground on the driver's side, be sure to put it on the stud, because that is touching the whole engine to get its connection. So now I took off the OBD1 distributor, and I am going to be building my OBD0 SI distributor, because I gave mine to my buddy to get his right hand drive wagon up and running. If you guys don't remember that car, I'll put a little link on the top when I did his conversion. But this is his old distributor, and I'm probably going to swap like the coil and the igniter from my good working distributor here, or possibly the OBD1 over there. This is brand new from VatoZone, that came with the 4-door when I first bought it, so pretty much brand new. And once I get that squared up, I'll throw it in the car. And I still have to find this female plug so I can route it into the car. But if I can't find it within a few minutes, I'll just manually pin these and run the 4 wires into the car, so we can get on with the inside wiring. And then I'll find the plug later, maybe in the junkyard, and plug it up. But distributor built me a hybrid Dizzy from a VatoZone and OEM case. Distributor was working before, so that should hopefully work. I don't know, but could not find another plug. So what I'm going to do is manually plug these guys up, and I'm going to route them inside so I can start showing you guys what to do as far as the ECU plug, because it is getting dark and I completely missed The Walking Dead. So for that female connector to crank to fuel injector, that's going to be running inside the cabin. That plug is a female, so that means I need the male end of it to manually plug these up until I can find a plug in the yard or something. So what I'm going to do is I am going to snip these guys and extend these about maybe 2 feet, give or take, however long it takes to go from the passenger shock tower into the cabin to where the ECU plugs are at. I'm going to use 2 reds for the injectors and 2 blacks for the crank, since they are already black. So I am going to guesstimate about 3 feet. So since there are 2 of the injector wirings that are going into the cabin to the ECU plugs, injector number 2 and injector number 4, I am going to label them injector number 2 and injector number 4, so there's no confusion between the two same red wires. Now these shrink tubings with the numbers on it are for the people who don't have a multimeter to trace wires. These numbers will help you identify much easier which wires are going where. So I'm going to do the same on the other end, because that is going to be on the tower side. So I'm going to snip these ends off for the injectors going through the firewall, and I'm going to put a female end connector so I can manually plug this to the tower, and this is temporarily until I can get the plug. Whoops. Don't forget your shrink tubing. Two for the injectors. Now 2 for the dizzy. Okay, now we got 2 for the crank. 2 for the fuel injectors, and they so happen to be both orange and both white. That would definitely help me identify them a lot better. So here's a great example why it is always nice to label your stuff. For me, it's because I already loomed it all up, but having the number or the multimeter on hand will help me identify which wire does what much easier. So right here I'm going to manually pin it in because I don't have the other end to this plug. I'm going to do the crank first. So for the crank, you have number labeled on here. This is your number 1. Number 1 goes to this red one right here, which then leads over here number 1 being blue, yellow. So we'll keep that in mind when we get inside the car. And then obviously the number 2 will be the other crank wire, which is the yellow, which is the other black wire. So for injector number 2 right here, looking at the color wire on the injector itself, we have the sky blue. So the sky blue right here on the bottom. So injector number 2 goes to the sky blue, and then injector number 4, which I labeled number 4, would go to the brown. And now I'm looking over here at number 4. It is a brown wire, and ideally that's how it's supposed to be ran. So I'm going to knock out this AC grommet behind the charcoal canister, which gives me access into the cabin, and that's where the other end of these wires go into. Alright guys, so we are now inside the cabin, and here is your 4 wires that you have to integrate into the stock. Ooh, it is cold. ECU harness, and there's a lot of spider webs too. 10 mil. I need my 10 mil. Okay, so I hope this does not get confusing for you guys. I'm gonna try my best to capture what it is that I am doing. Got the light in here. This is plug A, B, and C. Where's my phone? I am going to read this like word for word, or not even word for word, or actually, yeah, word for word. Okay, so we left off where it says connect red wire from DX injector to cylinder, blah blah. Okay, connect the wire you labeled A3, which is the red wire that goes to injector number 2. Now on my wiring here, my injector wire is labeled number 2, right there, upside down 2. This wire, connect the wire you labeled A3, which goes to injector number 2. So injector number 2 goes to plug A right here, and if this was facing, like, say, the ECU side, top, bottom, A3 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put a little image right here. So 1, 2, and 3. A3 is the yellow wire, top row, second to the right. So this is, I'm gonna cut this guy open real quick to kind of get a little bit. There we go. So injector number 2 is going to go to your A3 plug ECU side, not the harness side, ECU side. So right now I'm going to twist these guys together. Red wire goes to A3, which is for injector number 2. Simple as that. Next one, connect the wire you labeled A7, which is injector number 4. This right here is injector number 4, and that is going to go to A7. Again, on the plug, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is top row, red wire, slot number 4, left to right. And I am going to cut this guy at the same length as A3. Strip it down. Wire injector number 4 into A7. So far, injector number 2 goes to A3, injector number 4 goes to A7. I think people get confused now. Moving on to plug C and B. So your A plug is done. Now what you have to do, now we're going to do the B plug and C plug. So on the B plug, it's the middle guy right here. We are going to move C1 and C2, which is the C plug right here, the third one. C1 and C2 are the 2 outer wires, which are the orange and white. I hope you guys can see that. So you gotta snip or depin C1 and C2. In my case, I'm gonna cut it because I don't know how to depin these black ones, to tell you the truth. And I am going to cut it just enough, probably about 1.5 inches up, strip them down. Now the original C1 and C2 wire right here, that's on the harness side. Okay, the harness side right here. This is the harness side, this is the ECU side. You have to move C1, which is orange, into the slot of B10 right here. So B10 and B12 on the slot are empty. So what you got to do is, for me, I go to the junkyard, got another ECU clip right here, and I pretty much cut out the pin from this plug to use it in place of the empty slot. So I have two here, one for B10 and one for B12. Before we carry on, I'm going to pull out this white plug that's holding these pins in, which allows you to insert the missing pins you need for C1 and C2. Again, I hope this is not confusing. I'm getting a tad bit tired. This is a pain in my booty hole. Alright, so I'm going to put one into B10 like that. You'll hear it click in. And one for B12. Now I got two wires coming out for C1 and C2. Put your little clip back on, little retainer clip, whatever you want to call it. There we go. So now, run wires from pin C1 right here into you have to move the C1 orange over to B10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 will be this guy right here we just installed. I'm gonna go ahead and snip that. Run this to the orange wire. Harness side, not ECU side. Harness side. Right. Again, I will be soldering all of this. And then the other one, you got to run C2, which is the white harness side, to B12. B12 is the second wire added into the plug B. These two right here will get married like so. Just like that. And now you have the open C1 and C2. Okay, so now we have two extra crank wires right here from the distributor that we have to wire into the plug C. I'm gonna go ahead and strip these guys down. Wait, is the camera rolling? Yes, it is. Alright guys, this is the last stretch. Again, these are labeled 1 and 2. So remember, 1, as mentioned earlier in the clip, is the blue yellow wire. You have to do C1 right here on plug C. The first wire here, orange, C1, is going to go to the wire blue green from the distributor. Blue green was wire number 2 that we labeled earlier. So that will be this guy here. We're going to wire this in like so, and obviously one left. So C2, the white wire from the C plug, C2 is going to go to the blue yellow. Blue yellow was labeled 1, and these two are wired together just like that. That is all the wiring you need inside the cabin as far as multi-point fuel injection goes. Alright guys, so quick recap again so it's not confusing with my stop and go talking. You have plug A, B, and C. your injector number 2 wire is going to go to A3 right here, like so. ECU side, not harness side. Your injector number 4 is going to go to A7 right here, red wire, like so. So that's your 2 new injectors you just added on as far as multi-point conversion goes. Now you have to snip C1 orange from the C plug and C2 white plug and move it over to the B plug, engine cabin harness side. So the cabin harness side right here, orange, goes to B10 on the B plug right here at the bottom of the plug, and you have to get your own pins from like a spare one or something to add on to the B plug. They are empty slots. So orange to B10, and then the white harness side goes to the B12. And now the 2 C1 and C2 you snipped here on the C plug, orange goes to the blue-green at the distributor, and the white goes to the blue-yellow at the distributor. The 2 new wires we just added up top. So now I am going to plug in my ECU, find a battery, and let's see if this works. So I am using my brother's PM6 from his RT 4-wheel drive. As much as I want to keep this ECU, ain't nobody got time to be single cam. We all K-swap anyways. Alright, so it's very important that if you're not soldering any of these plugs at this point like I am, be sure to keep these wires all split and not touching each other, like C1 and C2 right here. They are split. These guys are split. We are golden. Moment of truth. Got the battery hooked up, spare battery, dead battery. Got the battery packed on full. So hopefully this will turn on. Check for fuel leaks. Nope, don't smell fuel. Ouch. Okay, so I just primed it. Not sure why the battery light's on. That actually sounds good, other than the open exhaust. There is oil in here. Axle's not on. Transmission fluid's not on. Car turned on. No hesitation, which is good. Sheesh. No check engine light whatsoever. Damn. Okay, so looks like all the wiring seemed to have worked out. Nope, no fuel leaks. So that was definitely successful. Not sure what else is there to show you guys other than finding that female connector, soldering all the wires that's inside the passenger footwell. Shit. Well, there you have it, guys. Dual point to multi-point injection conversion. So that is it, guys, for this video, the dual point to multi-point conversion. I know a lot of people has been asking me over the years on making a video on how to do it. I finally got a car that needed one, so not much more I can show you guys from there because the car did successfully fire over. Now in another video I'll button it all up. You know, I still got to do the axles, the fluids, the exhaust, the linkage, etc., etc. I'm definitely going to clean the interior and finalize the car before sale. But if you guys find this very useful, give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions, or you guys attempted to do this and you are stuck at some point, my media will be in the description below. Leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Share this video with your friends and all the other people that are struggling to do this conversion. Hopefully I didn't confuse you guys too much in this video, but finally got around to making one for you guys. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to see some more whatever goes, please subscribe, share this with your friends, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.